If you don't talk, we're gonna go through your browsing history. Oh, no, don't do that, no. I will tell you, whatever you want, I will tell you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JBuck Studios, your home for reviews, reactions, and ridiculousness. Anyways, though, guess what? It's another movie review, and I don't think it's really on VOD right now, so I jumped out to the movie theater, threw a mask on, I was safe and everything, and it's this new mystery detective movie, The Kid Detective. A down-and-out detective teams up with a teenager to solve the mysterious murder of her boyfriend. So is this new Kid Detective a perfect, wonderful detective mystery movie? Let's find out. But before I get into my thoughts, let me know what you thought of The Kid Detective. If you've already seen this one or been hearing a little rumbling about this one from, the movie scene, I guess. Anyways, now let's get into some of the good. First things first, I gotta give a shout out to the SoCo Show. They recommended this to me, the SoCo Show podcast. I've been guesting on that. Go and check out that podcast, SOCO podcast. Anyways, The Kid Detective. I am a big fan of detective mystery type movies, trying to get ahead of the movie and figure out who the killer or the villain is, essentially, solving this crime. And The Kid Detective is exactly what I wanted from this movie. I mean, it has a wonderful mystery, a wonderful detective story, but it almost jumps into kind of that pulpy, gumshoe kind of noir mystery detective type story. Almost like the Hardy Boys, like set in the 50s almost, but brought into modern times. Like, it still felt like it had that kind of pulpy, like I said, feel of the 50s and whatnot with, instead of soda shops, it was kind of like ice cream shops, and the clothing choices and the musical choices as well. It felt like it was this wonderful kind of happy-go-lucky aesthetic brought into modern times, but also the character who was this famous kid detective who was solving all of these, crimes and mysteries and whatnot, is now brought into the modern age. And you can see how all of this pressure essentially has built into a mid-30-year-old detective. And you can see how, it's taking those tropes and whatnot from those old detective movies of him going into his office, having the secretary pouring a drink, but now brought into modern times where he's essentially an alcoholic, he's drunk, he's hungover, and his life is in shambles. And I loved the detective story, but on top of it, it combined into taking our main character, Abe Applebaum, I believe, and it's a coming-of-age story as well. It's this down on his luck, fallen, someone who was at the height of his game as a kid is now this disgrace essentially in this town, and it's him putting his life back together while solving this mystery that then therefore puts his life back together. And I loved the subtle hints here or there, from the background to the way he interacted with other people, for example his parents, of showing you that yes, this character has finally gotten his life back together. I mean, I loved the dynamic of that detective and the coming of age story, but I mean, Adam Brody as the main character is the one that cemented this together. Like, the cohesiveness of, like I said, those two genres worked because of him, because he is sarcastic, he is just depressing, he is this character just kind of flowing through life, because again, he's in his 30s, but his height of success essentially was when he was 12 years old. So you can see how that has essentially messed with him, along with a case that was never solved when he was a young kid that has really stuck with him throughout all of these years. So him throughout this movie was a delightful treat, essentially, because he's this detective, he knows what he's doing, he's very much playing into kind of the detective work or stylings of a younger kid, brought into an alcoholic rage of a 30-year-old, but also the subtle sarcasm that he throws into it very much kind of gives this lighthearted tone here or there. And I think that it worked because first-time director and writer Evan Morgan did a wonderful job of, casting, piecing this all together, but also the dynamic, almost like the dynamic duo, essentially, of Sophie Nélisse, I believe it is kind of the counterpart that hires Abe in this movie. And it's this buddy detective cop movie almost, or the detective with his sidekick going through this. And it was a wonderful dynamic, and I thought that it worked so well throughout this. I mean, the aesthetic, the detective, the coming of age, and the music in the background, again, cemented that kind of 50s, like, happy-go-lucky feel, even though it was brought into today's time. Like, it's very subtle in the background, much like the humor in these dark times or dark situations in this movie. It's very subtle, but it works so goddamn well. However, the kid detective, I mean, I do love a good mystery and everything like that, and I love trying to guess, trying to be ahead of the movie. The detective story, the mystery essentially, I think is solved in a wonderful roundabout way, but it doesn't entirely give you all of the clues right up front. It kind of, about 3/4 of the way in, kind of pulls the rug from underneath you, and then it makes sense. I will say, cohesively, it makes sense from beginning to middle to end, but I think that there was that little tiny piece that you didn't have throughout the movie that could have helped you solve the mystery. Again, not a huge detriment, almost maybe a nitpick for myself, because I was like, I want to solve this before the movie does. Overall, The Kid Detective is a wonderful kind of throwback noir detective story brought into modern times. With it again featuring a wonderful detective mystery story, some subtle humor and musical choices in the background that help with the aesthetic, and that coming of age story combined with the performances are top notch. But with a few nitpicks from myself, maybe not everyone is going to have them, I would highly recommend checking out The Kid Detective. I didn't know what I was getting into. I'm glad my friend from the SoCo show recommended it. I highly recommend you go out to the movie theater. Otherwise, if this is on VOD, check it out, because it is a wonderful detective mystery reminiscent of those, you know, pulpy, the Hardy Boys type stories. In closing, I'm going to give The Kid Detective 4.5 out of 5 detective mysteries. So what did you think of The Kid Detective? If you've already seen this one or now very much intrigued because of this mystery type story, I want to know in the comments down below. Anyways though, as always, thank you so much for watching. Watch some more videos up there or right over there, you know, brand new content every single week here on the JBuck Studios channel. Tomorrow, Sunday, Episode 10 of Lovecraft Country. Be sure to tune in for my review and breakdown, because the season is done. Otherwise, follow all of my social media down there. Like this video, subscribe to the JBuck Studios channel, and until next time, we'll see you later.